Have you ever wondered what it was like for medical professionals or doctors who didn't know what the inside of a body looked like until they cut into it? Now, you probably never thought of this simply because for us it's easy to go and get an x-ray. Now, before in time it wasn't as simple. Now, if you go to the emergency room and complain of an internal injury, you can quickly get imaging done and they can diagnose you from there. Today, we will be discussing the discovery of x-rays. Now, I believe this information is important for you to know simply because the discovery of x-rays was such an outstanding discovery in the medical field. It also created various careers that created just radiology in general. I mean, you have your x-ray techs, which actually perform x-rays, the imaging, and then you have your radiologists who then read and interpret those images. And there's also other assistants in this field as well. Now, to prepare for this speech, I did research and collected research from sites like World History Encyclopedia, Absolute Urgent Care, and SciTech Daily. From this speech today, you will learn about the discovery of x-rays, its importance, and some of the impacts it has on us today. So now, starting with the discovery of x-rays, x-rays are very important because it shifted the way that we do medical diagnosis. So let's go way back to when it all started. Back in November 8th, 1895, back in Würzburg, Germany, with the man himself, German scientist Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. Now, Röntgen was experimenting on a Crookes tube. Looks like so. It is a vacuum-sealed tube that when you apply high voltage, it allows electrons to move from one side to the next. So Röntgen was experimenting on this Crookes tube and high voltage to discover phenomena with light. He didn't actually know he would discover x-rays on this day. So during one of his experiments with this Crookes tube, he covered the vacuum seal with this cardboard-like texture and covered it fully sealed. And to his surprise, there was this screen in the same room as him that was made of barium platinocyanide that began to fluoresce this very bright green color. And he was shocked by this because how can something invisible hit the screen that had to have passed through all of these objects? So Röntgen began to just really think about what could be occurring, so he continued to experiment on this tube that same day. So he began to think, since this invisible ray had to have passed through all these objects, what other items can this invisible ray pass through? So he brought in his wife Bertha and placed her hand over a photo plate and pointed it straight towards the vacuum tube beam. And to their surprise, the first ever radiograph was made. As we can see here, this was actually Bertha's hand, and we can see her big wedding ring. Right? And according to World History Encyclopedia, July 19th, 2024, Bertha stated she had seen her death. Now, she said this simply because how often do you see your own bones, or even any other person's bones? You don't, especially back in this era. I mean, if you weren't a medical professional doing surgeries, or you hadn't broken a bone and it was actually sticking out of your body, you have probably never seen human bones before. So this is why she said she thought she had seen her own death. So now that we talked about the discovery of x-rays, I now want to talk about its importance. Now, again, x-rays changed the way we diagnose patients. Now, you may be wondering, what even are x-rays, and what is this invisible ray that we cannot see? So, according to Absolute Urgent Care, December 26, 2024, x-rays are electromagnetic rays that are non-invasive that allow doctors to view inside of people's bodies. Now, the main importance of x-rays based on this is to just detect diseases and conditions that may be going in one's body or in a patient's body. Things like chest x-rays can discover any lung diseases or conditions such as pneumonia or bronchitis. We also have dental imaging, which can result in detecting cavities or other tooth decays. And we also have mammograms, which image the breast that can result in any detection of breast cancer or any other mass abnormalities. And another thing why x-rays are important is also because of the radiation protocols that came along with it, or just radiation safety. So whenever x-rays were discovered, I mean, it was used like it was the new norm. Like, everybody went crazy over it. All hospitals and facilities wanted to use x-rays in their location. And yes, of course, that's great, but many people didn't know how harmful radiation actually was. I mean, it began being used into some unnecessary locations, like a shoe store. At a shoe department, an x-ray machine was located, and children would x-ray their feet for up to 30 minutes, damaging their feet, and just to find out what was a perfect size for their shoe. And just stuff like this that caused high damage and harmed these people and caused radiation sickness. And of course, we grew from this, which is why it's important. We have now utilized radiation safety, and we now know how to use this properly. For example, not just in the medical field, but also in the oil fields, there's also radiation where these protocols come in role. So now that we've talked about both the discovery and the importance of x-rays, I now want to talk more about the impacts that we still see to this day. So whenever you think of x-rays, you probably think of the medical field, right? Well, there's also other areas and locations and fields where x-rays are utilized. For example, at the airport, whenever you hand over your luggage, it is screened through this imaging system that uses x-rays. Of course, the radiation is minimal, but it is also being processed with x-rays to see if you have any inappropriate items for the airport. Another location would be your industries, again, like the oil fields, or even shockingly, astronomy and to do with space. According with SciTech Daily, August 2nd, 2025, thanks to x-rays, astronomers discovered missing sulfur in our galaxy, the Milky Way. I mean, just to think about that this journal entry was written yesterday is just proves how x-rays continue to impact us today. I mean, you wouldn't even imagine that space and space exploration utilizes x-rays to begin with, but little did you know it actually goes into some of their telescopes and other tools of sorts. Another thing that impacts us today from x-rays is actually the modalities that goes into all of this. For example, CT scans, MRI scans, PET scans, and of those sorts that just branch out from x-rays. Whenever x-rays were discovered, it was just a simple image like I showed from the hand, but now we are slowly evolving. For example, CT scans are now a rotational scan that allows you to take 3D images. Okay. So today I've discussed a groundbreaking and major medical discovery. I've discussed its outstanding discovery, its importance, and its impacts it has on us today. So now, reflecting back onto my question from earlier, if you've ever wondered what it was like for doctors or other medical professionals who could not see into your body unless they physically could into it, well, now you know that the discovery of x-rays, we do not have to experience some horrifying procedures.